All right. Well, welcome to our training webinar for today. This is Justin Popovich along with
Chad Fullerton.
And thanks for joining us. This is our second of a series of weekly webinars that we're going to be doing. Originally, we actually had set out a 4-week plan, and we kind of shelved that plan after week 1 because we had a lot of questions coming in, a lot of great interaction, and we encourage that again today. So if you're on live, definitely, like I mentioned before we started recording here, ask your questions, and we'll be glad to get back to you or answer them live if we can. And if you're watching a recording of this, same thing goes. Just make a note of your questions, and then you can hit up the help desk at Tools for Motivation or at Chad's website, fullertonmedia.com, correct?
Yep.
Or both, and we will make sure we get those back to you. And also, they may inspire us for future webinars as well. So you may get more than just an email reply. In some cases, you'll get a webinar example, kind of like what we're doing today. So we want to talk about 3 main topics today. This is targeted to be an hour. If it's less, great. If it's more, we'll try to kind of reel it into about an hour and 15. And if it goes any longer, we'll bring those topics into future sessions. We want to cover creating courses, a client resources type of example. I mentioned this in one of my mailers last week. So if you're on our mailing list, I did reference this. I had some pretty good feedback to that one. And then how to build quick videos. So I already heard a couple people in the intro say they want to do demo videos or video training. So this may inspire you to get started, even just getting in the habit of creating video. And of course, all of this will be inspired with done for you or PLR-based content. So a very important slide next. I'd like to start this presentation off with a very nice picture of both Chad and myself. The first slide had our faces, but we wanted to capture us in our real glory. This is Chad performing a piano solo on one of his live Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
And I'm one of his adoring fans. No, I just wanted to put this in. This was hilarious. I was looking for pictures of Chad and I to put on this slide. And this was one of the stills from a previous webinar we did. And I think we both spent about half an hour just trying to get the lighting.
And then there's the Photoshop version where we look perfect. So.
Exactly. All right, so what are you going to learn today? I covered this already, but we're going to go into how to create online courses using PLR content. Now, it's more than about PLR here. We want to kind of cover what goes into creating an online course. There's no one recipe, one right way of doing it. I'm sure anybody watching this right now has at least seen, probably consumed and been through some of their own online courses by other vendors. And you've probably seen things you like and you don't like. And what I like and what you don't and what you like and vice versa may be different. So a lot of this stuff generally comes down to a matter of taste and your best call for how you want to deliver your information. But Chad and I have both launched our own online courses in the past. We want to give you some of our kind of guidelines and best practices of what has worked well for us. And then we're going to talk about building a resource database for your clients using PLR. This will be a bit of an offshoot from the first piece, creating online courses, but it also gets into the concept of mastermind groups or some kind of continuity. And without getting into too many details right now, just think about the concept of delivering your expertise in more of a high-ticket fashion. Let's say you're doing what Chad and I are doing right now, and you have a weekly session where you teach 1 or 2 concepts in your area of expertise, and you have a group of people on the line. Those weekly webinars or teaching sessions are one element of your overall program. But over time, as you deliver more and more of these, your kind of asset base grows. So how do you keep a nicely organized list of all these great pieces of content that you've created for your clients or members over time? And how do you continue to add value to that list? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show you an example of one mastermind group that I'm a part of. And then how to build quick videos using PLR content. I specifically use the word quick here because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when it comes to creating video. We talked a little bit about it on last week's webinar if you were on, but I probably will be revisiting this concept over and over until we've attacked it from every possible angle. And I just know, based on the questions we're getting at the help desk, on Facebook and email and so on, a lot of people are still not fully confident with how to proceed with video. So I'll give you another example today that you might want to try. All right. So before we get into all that, I wanted to review a 4-step PLR usage model This comes up in a lot of our different trainings, but I always like to kind of rehash this and remind you that you cannot go wrong with this thinking. So whether you've just downloaded someone's free PLR on an opt-in, or you purchased a small entry package, or maybe you've gone and invested in several $100s in like a full PLR funnel, right, with multiple products. Whatever it is, you can follow this 4-step usage model just to make sure that you don't let that investment go to waste. So the first step is to take inventory of what your selected PLR package includes. Go through the whole thing. You just spent money on it, or if you at least spent your time to download this thing, browse through the entire package, top to bottom, go through all the subfolders and understand what content has been included for you, understand which pieces are editable and customizable. Most of them should be, but in some cases they're not. So make sure you just get an idea of what you're working with. And then you want to group that PLR into 3 categories whenever possible. So content that you can use as premium material, ideally stuff for sale. So in our examples today, that'll be material that you put into your courseware. If you end up recording video based on a PLR article, great. That's premium content that you're selling. Or maybe it's lead generation content. You're creating a report that you're giving away on the sidebar of your blog. Very traditional, classic example. Probably not the world's best way of building your list, but it is one way of generating a list. You can use PLR to do that. And then, of course, the biggest one is web and branding content, blog posts, stuff to put out on social media, anything you want to make publicly visible. Most PLR vendors, they allow you to take their content, even in many cases, even their ebooks, and repackage it into fully web brandable content, blog posts, and so on. But just make sure you understand how that PLR package can be used. In our business, we don't allow you to take one of our premium ebooks and publish it as a blog post. We limit that to premium. We do have other sections of our content where, for example, if it's an article, you can post that to a blog. And then once you understand how that PLR fits into those 3 categories, how do you plan to use it? You don't want to pass this step at all. As soon as you download that PLR package that you've picked up, decide on what your plan is. Even if the implementation of that content isn't for a month or 2, make sure it's part of your plans. Put it into the calendar, make sure it has a due date and a deliverable on it, so that every time you invest in content like this, it's actually getting used in your business and hopefully generating a return at some point. Again, whether it's collecting leads, helping you make sales, and so on. And then the last thing you want to do, this will eventually be a full training on its own, but add that PLR content to an assets folder for future use. I like to use an external hard drive where I collect all of my reusable content, and I store it usually by, the main one I do it is by product title, but I've also done other instances where I've collected all of my PLR content based on category. So you could do the same. You might want to, you could organize it based on, here's all my PLR ebooks, here's all of my PLR articles, and then you could have subfolders based on topic. However you choose to do it, make sure that you do have an assets folder. If you have a larger team where a number of you are sharing assets across the company, use something like Dropbox, where the assets folder is globally available to everyone on your team so that they can go in and grab that content as they need it. So that's a good overview of the 4-step usage model. Now let's get right into this, Chad. So I'm going to let you start here. We're going to talk about creating courses using PLR, and Chad and I are both drawing from real life experiences here. I launched a course called Prod Create several years ago where I taught people about product creation. Chad, you launched Membership Ignition, which we promoted for you twice, and we had great response. So let's start with a little bit of an overview of that course and just some of the high level tips you have for people that are just getting into course creation.
Yeah, so Membership Ignition was a course I launched last year. It was many modules. I don't know how many. It was a really comprehensive course. We had 8 modules, and each had maybe 5 to 10 videos inside each one. And it just taught everyone how to build membership websites using WordPress and WooCommerce, which is the e-commerce system that Justin and I both use on our sites. So yeah, it was building out a membership-based site, how to plan it out, what to put on it, pricing, how to release content, things like that. So there's a lot of theory as well as the practical technical stuff. It was a lot of feedback. I went through when I was building out the course the first time. We're already at version 2, and version 3 will be launching probably in a couple months. It's in the summertime. It's going back, getting some beta testers to go, students to go through the course, getting feedback. A lot of the modules I added later, maybe 30% of them, were based on feedback from the students that went through it. And I'm talking like 10 students that you sort of get that are really excited about it, that you give them a discount or let them go through it for free just to give you really good feedback. And then you build out the missing gaps in your course that they've identified, and that really rounds things out. And then coming up with the sections was really, you want to lay the groundwork on whatever the topic is and show your experience with it, show what could be, get them excited about what the end goal is, the end result. And then you sort of work backwards from the end goal and figure out all the steps that it takes to get there.
So without getting into all the different numbers, it was many, many thousands of dollars that Chad generated in revenue here. But all he did was he literally created a course based on something he was already doing in many implementations in his business. Like you had already set up several membership sites for your clients. So you'd already
Correct.
seen real world examples of what works, what doesn't, technical glitches that come up, frustrations that the client, the pains the client was facing. So Chad literally just took something that he was already living and put it into a video-based distributable course. And then he went and found someone, myself, who had an existing audience that would resonate with that topic, and he was able to generate revenue. So a lot of people get really, really stressed out about, well, I'm going to spend all this time building the course, and how do I get this out to the market? Chad took one thing he was already doing, and he made one contact. He met me at how do we meet originally? I guess you were a customer originally, and then we met at a live event.
Yeah.
Right? So he met one person that he met at a live event. We had a couple phone calls, and it worked out great. So all of us can do that. Anyone on this call can take something they've already learned in their life that they do better than the majority of the population, reverse engineer it into a course to help new people go from no result to some result, put a price tag on it, and then find one or two partners who already have an existing audience to market it to. You don't have to really overthink this kind of stuff. Now, I'm simplifying how much work went into it, obviously, but the overall number of connections you need to make and the steps you need to take to actually make money from your course is not as hard as a lot of people, I think, build it up to be. So I really wanted to tell that story because it was awesome. And now you're on version 3, the third implementation of this.
Yeah, and the other thing to think about is that the amount of content that I have now is not what it launched with, right? So you build on your content as you go. You add new videos and you update older ones. But I know when I was talking to you originally, I had planned a much more grandiose course that had a lot more in it. And we had to pare it down just because I was putting too much into the course, and that can be a pitfall that you run into of you try and fit everything into one course, and there's no need to do that when you can think of one end goal that you want the user to have when they've taken your course and focus on that one thing. And then if you have other ideas for other courses, you can always make new courses down the road. And now you already have an audience with the first course, and you can sell them the next course, right? But you don't have to have everything in one course.
Exactly. So that talks just a bit about the approach and then how Chad put it together without going into the techie details. In version 1, you launched it on your own website. Version 2, you launched on a platform called Teachable, which many people on this call may have heard of. There's also Udemy or Udemy. I never know how to pronounce it. There's other platforms as well for launching your course. I know there were pros and cons for you on the Teachable platform as an example versus on your own web real estate.
Yeah.
But launching it on the Teachable platform was one way that you could actually be more authentic to your clients, because in some cases they were going to be launching on Teachable. So this gave you a chance to say, well, I can help you with that because I've actually done it.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to try all the different platforms out, and when we get into the Q&A at the end, I can definitely we'll run through some of the pros and cons of each platform. I know some of the people are asking about that, so we can definitely go into that. But I wanted to try different platforms out. My philosophy has always been to control your own platform and control where you put your content. So I experimented. I've done it on my own on WordPress and used Teachable and a few other platforms. So there's pros and cons of each. It all depends on your comfort level and what your expectation is of what you want to get out of it.
Exactly. So that's his course. And then for Prod Create, so that's the one on the left here, old school internet marketing style sales letter. But basically this course was very similar in nature to what Chad's was doing. Chad was taking a process he was already doing on, a monthly basis with clients. Same thing with me. I was building and launching my own products, PLR products, and I was learning a lot along the way. Each PLR launch was getting a little bit better, generating more revenue, having better success, getting better feedback, and so on. So after I had done it for a couple of years, I realized, man, I've got quite a bit of knowledge here, specialized knowledge, that I could totally just package up and sell as a process. Again, what Chad was talking about earlier, it could have been a 50-week course, really. So I had to pick, like, what do I want this thing to do? What is the result I want people to achieve? So I just narrowed it down to take something you're good at, that you possibly deliver as a service right now, and turn it into a product. Productize, quote unquote, that knowledge, and be able to generate revenue without exchanging your time for that money through products. So what I did was I just followed, both of us did this. We followed this process. I'm going to share this slide with you and also a template to help you fill it in. But if you're building a course right now and you want PLR to be part of it, this template will work very nicely for you for creating your modules and the different weeks or whatever steps of your course, whatever you end up calling it. But every course will basically take your customer or your client from no result to some result achieved. Whatever that may be. You could be a personal trainer trying to get them to some level of lifting strength or body weight, body fat percentage, whatever. Maybe you're a financial advisor trying to get people from one level of financial fitness to another. Who knows? This would apply to literally any niche or any level of expertise or area of expertise. But what you want to do is decide what the result is. So for me, it was product creation. For Chad, it was membership sites. And then decide what is the fewest number of steps that you can help your client go through to achieve that result. It's not the most number of steps, right? You want the fewest number of steps to effectively get that result, because the fewer the steps, the easier it is for the student to absorb the knowledge and then take action on it. And that's where I think what Chad's point earlier about not building a grandiose course, especially if it's your first time going through it, is very, very important. Otherwise, you'll never get the thing done, because then you're worrying about every potential off scenario or offshoot or kind of scenario that may or may not happen for 1% of your audience, right? You don't need to cover all that stuff. What are 90% of the people going to face? So for me, I broke it into 4 weeks. It was basically coming up with your product idea, constructing the product and building it, developing the sales letter, and then having a support plan. It was 4 weeks, four different pieces of information that I was communicating to people with a number of steps in between. And then when you're teaching each module, so whatever number of steps you decide, I think Chad's was 8, if I remember correctly, mine was 4. I would go through this giant box on the right. What are the outcomes for this week? So if it was week 1 of my product creation course, it would be to help you come up with the idea, the concept, the outline of your first product. What is it you want to sell for this first go? Okay, and what are the outcomes and goals for the people that are reading your product? And then what are the main teachable points? So I usually come up with my teachable points by doing a brainstorm. I'll think about all the questions I get asked. It's exactly how we built a lot of these webinars, right? As we go through our help desk and we log all the questions, and we use the most common ones as the most pressing webinar topics. Same thing goes for my tutorial videos that we do on YouTube. What mistakes have we made that we want to communicate, or stories of different experiences that we had? And I simply state a point, I illustrate it with an example, and then I reinforce that point. I may do that several times to communicate one step or one day of my lesson or one module. And then I simply give my students some kind of action to implement what I've just taught. So if I were to teach you how to get into the PLR business, I would probably not start with how to build a full suite of PLR content, complete with audiobook, graphic, and Instagram content on your first go. I would probably start with how to create your first report and sell it as PLR. It would be a single written document. And I would teach you first how to write the document, maybe how to start with an outline, and then turn that into a PLR version of the document, then how to take that to some kind of marketplace and sell it. It would be a very small number of steps, and then we would build on that experience moving forward. So all you need to do is reverse engineer the things that you have been doing yourself. And in Chad's example, he reverse engineered all the different scenarios where he was building membership sites for his clients. He took the best practices of what worked for those and put those into action guides for his clients. So how can you do this, right? If you're starting to build your course right now, how can you follow this model to come up with your modules, step A, B, C, D, E, whatever, to get people from no result to some result? How do you decide what your teachable points are going to be? And how do you decide what your action items or your specific assignments would be for your clients? Everything that we've talked about here does not have to be written from scratch. In Chad's course, he definitely used PLR to fill in some of the gaps. In my course, the exact same thing happened. So you can actually grab this template here. It's just a little template, but you can kind of follow along for each step of your process. So decide how many weeks is it going to take to teach your course. All right. So if it's something simple, maybe it's only a 3-week course. Each step, each week, decide what the kind of core idea, what the teachable name of the step is, and then what are the outcomes, the teaching points, and the assignments for your students to get that particular result. Once this is filled in, now you can start going through that assets folder of PLR that you've been downloading. Okay, I've got all these different PLR assets that I've acquired over the past year or two. I need to build the first module of my course with these outcomes, these teachables, and these assignments. Do I need to write the whole thing from scratch, or do I have some stuff here already that's going to help maybe take me 80% of the way there for building this course? And that's where that beautiful blend happens, in my opinion, because a lot of people stare at the PLR and go, okay, what am I going to do with this? Instead, this is going the other way around. I have a specific thing I'm trying to design. I'm trying to design module 1 of my very first course. It's going to be a lot of work. I need to have slides and handout sheets and all this different stuff. I don't want to start from scratch. Where can that PLR that I've already downloaded help me out here? So that's sort of the main message that we wanted to communicate to you here. So in Prod Create, it was, like I said, it's a 4-week course. In week 3, the student has already gone through the first 2 weeks, which was brainstorming everything that you're an expert in, picking one specific topic that gets you excited, turning it into a product, and then writing that product. And then in week 3, it's like, how do you take this product to the market? Well, the first thing you need is a sales letter that explains what your product will give people, the benefits, the features, and so on. Now, I'm not a great copywriter. Most of my sales copy is, hey, folks, here's a product we built, and here's what's inside of it, and if you want it, buy it. It works for us, but it's not the most persuasive copy in the world, so I don't consider myself somebody that should be really teaching copywriting for people that really want to hone their craft. So what I did was, for this section of the course, I was thoroughly transparent about that. I told people, here's how I write my copy. Feel free to, swipe my style. I don't know how great it works in the general, compared to the general market. But then I went and licensed a piece of PLR. I went and found this guy who had created a 13-step sales letter template. And it was literally like a fill in the blank. Step 1, write your headline. Step 2, write the sub-headline. Step 3, write the intro. And there was even fill in the blank steps. And it was awesome. If you go through this template, and it would take you a few passes, but you go through it a few times, you've got your very first sales letter completed, and you'll know that it's following at least a somewhat proven formula from an experienced marketer. Well, that became one of the most popular sections of my entire course, because people were actually following this template and writing their first sales letter, and they couldn't believe they were able to do it. Well, how cool was it that I didn't have to even create that section of my course? I literally spent $97 on the template. It came with PLR rights, and that particular section of that module of my course was already done. It was one of my handouts in week 3. But it ended up being like extremely powerful. The second part of that module was an interview with another copywriter with his model. And he had a whole mind map process as to how he wrote sales letters for clients. So I was not the expert in either area or either implementation of that section of my course, but I went and found very relevant, powerful pieces of information to help people achieve that result. So to me, the lesson here is, if you're building your first course, and you're not necessarily confident in creating all the aspects yourself, use PLR, maybe bring in some other experts and interview them, and become the person that coordinates all of that information into your product. And now you're delivering value to your buyers without having to be on the hook, totally, 100% yourself being the expert. You're the expert who finds relevant experts when needed, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So Chad, how about you talk a little bit about how PLR helped your course?
So this is the sales page for the Membership Ignition course. Let me just scroll down to the modules. So yeah, so I started off with essentially getting everyone on the same page. So whatever your topic is, usually the first module is an introductory module, gets everyone understanding what we're covering, what we're talking about, what is a membership site, how do they work, underlying technologies, best practices, stuff like that. Then we got into the base site setup, and you'll notice that there's a checklist here. This checklist was a section that was a PLR. It was a techie checklist on how to set up a WordPress site. I modified it, put my own colors into it, and added some sections to it. And that was a checklist that I was able to make in half the time, right? We got into some of the more techie stuff, payments and content. Talking about content, one of the really nice bonuses that we added in was the daily content planner. So this was another PLR calendar that I was able to purchase, and we filled it in with a lot of different membership related content ideas. And there were some other content ideas that were already really great that we left in there. So that's another nice just bonus that you can add in. So these are supplemental materials. I didn't have to add them in, but when you do, it just looks like you're really adding more value. And it didn't take a long time since it was PLR to add that in. Facebook ads, same thing. This checklist for Facebook ads, we talked about how to promote your membership site. I think 90% of this checklist is already pre-written as PLR. So we sort of customized a little bit, added a couple links to some extra resources that were in the training, and that's it. You just find little things that you can add in that are going to be relevant to your training and things that they're going to get value from. And then just put your branding on it, put your colors on it, put your spin on it, and add it in.
It's a good example of how PLR can be used not only for course creation, but for enhancements to what you're already doing. Because I know for a fact there's people on here as well that could create an entire course on their own. They wouldn't need PLR because they've got so much experience in what it is that they do. That maybe you don't need that. Maybe you don't need the PLR aspect for the actual content delivery because you've been doing what you do for so long. You've got so much of your own content. Doesn't mean that PLR can't help you along the way. So two kind of interesting angles of different ways of looking at it. And that kind of brings us to this next little section here. I've shared this before, so this may be a repeat for some people. I thought it was a really important example to kind of just mix things up a little bit, because a lot of people think about course creation in a larger sense here. You're launching a $297 or $497 or whatever, even bigger, video type of course. You don't have to go that big if you want to get into course creation and just test it out. So we have this whole concept of mini course. So I would look at this example right now as if you're new to course creation and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by either the tech or the level of self-confidence in actually creating a course and putting it out there, start with a mini course so that you can go through the process of building a course and putting it up online, because there's going to be a bunch of techie stuff required there. But then you don't have to worry about the whole back end side of selling it. Just use it as a lead generation. Give it away for free to build your list. The tech required to do that is much simpler than the tech required to, let's say, for example, integrate it with a shopping cart and a support system. Okay, so we're minimizing the amount of kind of time risk here, and we're getting you a short path to success to build some confidence. So what I would suggest you do is follow a process like this. Take one of our PLR ebooks. In this particular example, we have one called Resolve. It was how to boost your willpower, and think about the kind of the traditional scenario. Somebody, you may have an opt-in page or a lead generation, lead cap page saying, hey, I've got this great, little report about how to boost your willpower, some really powerful techniques. If you learn these today, you'll be amazed in 30 days how your life looks. And they put their name and their email in, you deliver it to them. Hopefully most people on the call can do that. If you can't, it's definitely a thing you want to learn as soon as possible. And then you give them the ebook. Well, that's a great piece of value, but it doesn't really serve your business as well as this. What if you took that course and you turned it into 5 mini lessons? It could be 5 tangible steps that they take to boost their willpower, each one growing upon the previous. And you give them, it's the same scenario. Put your name and email in, but now I'm going to send you my 5-part, 5-day, whatever you want to call it, course on how to boost your willpower now. Try these steps today and contact me in 30 days to see how your life has changed, whatever, something like that. And then you're simply distributing the same information in smaller chunks over the course of 5 days. Here's what happens. I'm going to put all this stuff up. I kind of already explained the left side here. What happens is there's a higher perceived value because you're giving away a course instead of just an ebook. There's something that happens in the brain of that visitor to your website saying, I definitely want to try this course versus an ebook. I don't know what it is, but it converts better. It's also a powerful form of delivery in terms of its effectiveness. When you give somebody a small, bite-sized, tangible piece of advice, they're far more likely to read it and try it than if you go, boom, like here's all my best advice on this one topic. They're going to read it, intellectually understand it, close the document, and probably never do anything with it, especially when it comes to something like willpower. That's a really funny example that I use for it. But a small little piece of advice saying, here's something you can try today, in 30 seconds to boost your willpower. And you give them a little example, right? So a tangible bite-sized piece is very effective. And then when you do it, it's valuable content that you can either sell or pre-sell with, right? If you're delivering a course, there's just a general it's a higher perceived value in terms of actual dollars. So you could turn this into something that you sell later on. And then the most important piece is you get 5 interactions with your new subscriber if you are doing the lead generation model instead of 1, right? Instead of just thanks for signing up, here's your ebook. It's thanks for signing up, check your inbox for day 1. And then day 2 comes out tomorrow. And each day you get a chance to connect with that person. Maybe you invite them to reply to the email so you can develop a bit of a deeper relationship. Some things that work really well for us is in our, let's say it's a 5-day sequence when someone joins our list. Each day we'll deliver whatever piece of content was promised, but then I'll have a second link saying, also go check out this additional resource, and they'll have a video on there. And now these new subscribers are getting a nice little piece of content. Maybe it's a day-by-day lesson, but then they're also going over and watching a supplemental bonus video from me on camera, and it's really strengthening that relationship. So as more emails come out from me, it's forming that much closer bond, building that know, like, and trust factor, so they're more likely to open your emails both now and in the future. So this whole mini course creation process can happen. Let me go back here. Right here, if this link on the bottom that I put into the chat box a few minutes ago, and if you're watching the recording, just make sure that you look somewhere on this page or let us know if you can't find it. That particular blog post walks through a much deeper example of how do you take an ebook. It doesn't have to be a Tools for Motivation ebook. It could be any PLR ebook that teaches a number of steps in an overall process, how to turn it into a X-part mini course. Okay, so we give you all the steps, but not only that, on that link, we give you templates that you can literally fill in. So there's templates for each day of your course delivery. So there would be the lesson component, there would be the exercise component, and then there would be the email that you send to the people to go and download both of those things. You want the person to read the lesson and execute the exercises on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on. So that particular blog post will give you everything you need to literally create your own first course, but using this sort of less risky mini course example where you can just get a course up and running and just use it for lead generation, overcome some of those tech hurdles, wrap your head around the whole idea that, am I a course creator? Well, do it, and now you are. You can start assuming that self-image sooner than later. And I really just think anybody that hasn't done it should give this a shot.
When you're building out a larger training program, you can build out the small mini training packages, and then you could always combine them later on into a larger training program. Once you have 4 or 5 mini courses that relate to each other, build it into a bigger program.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could totally repurpose it into video-based, audio-based, whatever. Like off the top of my head, what I would do is I would take this guy here on the right, and in my final example today, I'll show you I would turn text like this into video, and then I would do a video version of it on like our Facebook fan page as an example, each day releasing one new part of the course. It's just another way of engaging with a segment of your audience in a different way. I could also use that video course as a lead generator on my website as well, right? You have all these different avenues and repurposings of this content once you build it once. Start with a text version just to make sure you can do it. But then once you've done it, don't stop there. See how else you can kind of make it work for you. All right. So I want to move on because we don't have too much time left here, trying to keep the content within an hour. And this was a fairly short example that I just wanted to point out, but it's important. Creating a resource file for your clients using PLR. And the idea behind this is, if you start a mastermind group, which very often that will likely be a next evolution of a course. I don't know if you've seen this, Chad, with any programs that you're a part of. A number of the programs, like when I say programs, I mean like a video training or, kind of a larger, higher ticket course that I bought, started with the course. And I would get the login information and I would go through however many days it was. But then once I learned that information, there was all kinds of ongoing questions that I had. And that's where the community aspect takes place. In some cases, it was a Facebook group. In some cases, it was just as simple as a Skype group. It was literally a mastermind group of people chatting on Skype. But the owners of those groups would keep, almost all of them would have some kind of central document where they would store relevant pieces of information of important conversations that had among members. Because you'll naturally form a little bit of a community. I mean, if we did this webinar that we're doing right now often enough, we saw the same people showing up every week, that would in itself become a bit of a community. We would probably want to create a webinar portal where we could refer back to old questions and stuff like that. So it's just a natural evolution. But where the PLR ties into all of this is, first of all, I wanted to plant the seed that you can do this. So you should be creating some kind of resource file, database, indexing system, whatever, that lets you reference all the important teachables that you've created over time with whatever your platform is, whatever your expertise is and how you're distributing it. But then you can use PLR content very much like Chad did with his course, using those checklist examples and so on. PLR can just give you enhanced content. So here's an example. Yeah. So this is Ryan Levesque, the Ask Method guy. I'm not sure if anybody is in the chat room, if they're part of this. He has a next level mastermind group. I don't imagine he would mind me sharing this because it's free advertising for him. But this is literally his resource document. It's 81 pages of stuff that has accumulated over time. And it's kind of indexed by different things that his group talks about. So I can scroll down the left here. If I'm interested in something that he's covered on a previous webinar or within his group, and when I go into it, like joint ventures, what do people in his group say about joint ventures? Here is all the great conversations that have happened within his community about joint ventures. And then it links out to different things. All of these are password protected links. So I can't get in there unless I'm a member. But this is awesome because as a member of this mastermind group, just having this 81-page resource document to me is huge value. I can get a quick view at one person's, this guy, he's a well-known expert in his field, and I have this one pager like this, or at least not a one pager, but a one kind of view, a single view of his table of contacts of his whole area of expertise in one view, and I can quickly click to the areas that I want to communicate or learn from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really powerful.
It's awesome, right? So if you wanted to make your resource document huge like this, which I think a lot of your members would appreciate, knowing that they have all these different things they can pull from, why not use PLR courses, content, blend some together, right? If you're doing like a motivational type of mastermind group where you're trying to keep people on track for their goals each and every month, maybe you have a monthly challenge, you have goal sheets that people are sending in and posting as accountability. Maybe you have some tip sheets or different things to keep them excited about their goals, week in and week out. PLR could help you with that. You could download a bunch of ebooks from Tools for Motivation, pull out different lessons from each book and turn that into one giant course or one giant kind of slide presentation that people can view and scroll through. Maybe you make it a video, who knows? At Tools for Motivation, we have our members area right here. And down at the bottom, we have this premium training section. So when you join, we have our kind of publicly available training, but then we also have these additional video-based trainings that we give you access to that our non-members cannot access. So we've only done a little bit with this so far in our business. So Ted and I have a plan in 2019 to really build this out. Well, guess what? We're already starting to purchase, download, and collect and organize a bunch of high-quality PLR packages from some of our friends. We're actually buying their packages and using them just like we would refer you to do to build out our premium training area, right? So it's another way of adding yet an additional piece of value to our platform that I can put on our sales letters and add as an additional feature / benefit to people considering investing in our program. It's just another thing that might tip somebody sitting on the fence over to our side and get them investing into our program. So that's sort of the whole concept of creating a resource file. It's the idea of collecting all of your capital, your intellectual capital, your best advice into a single view. And that single view makes it easier for people to navigate through what you've already built for them. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and imagine if you're running an ongoing group coaching type program, the value of this for someone who's joining later on, maybe they've just joined this month and you've been running this program for the last 12 months. They don't know what you've already covered, right? So having this document gives them a chance to go back and see some of the evergreen training that is still relevant to them that maybe they're interested in, but you don't want to have to recover again or go over again if you've already covered it.
Exactly. Like Prod Create, well, you were in, and Nigel and Patty, I believe, were in them. I can't remember everybody that's on the call that was on it, but after we delivered the course, we started doing weekly webinars, and that went on for a good year. So I ended up creating this private membership portal. I didn't even plan on doing it when I first created the course. It kind of evolved. And each webinar had a different scope and theme to it. I would sometimes have guest presenters and so on. Then when I would publish the recording of that webinar, to enhance the value for future members, I would have additional resources related to the theme of that week's webinar. And again, in some cases, those downloadable resources came from PLR. So you can just see how you can continue to build out value from the actions that you're taking. It kind of grows. It snowballs, really. It becomes this really big thing. But it kind of comes back to step one, which is creating that course. So you even have something to apply all this information to.
Patty says, fabulous idea. And Marcia says, this is going to be amazing to incorporate into my upcoming webinar launch strategy.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing that. Definitely make sure for all of you folks doing this stuff, like definitely come back to the Tools for Motivation Help Desk and let us know. We're always asking to see examples of this stuff in action because it's really exciting to see just how creative people get with it. It's amazing. Every week I see something new that I hadn't thought of before. It's so cool. All right. So, and then that kind of lets us skip here to a slightly off topic thing, but I think this will help with people wanting to do course creation because a lot of course creation, if you want to do it right, will be video. So I want to, in as many ways possible, nudge you, push you, encourage you to start doing video creation if you're not already doing it. If you are doing it, to do more of it. And that goes for myself included. I'm trying to do more video just because it works so well. So why would I limit myself to one video a week when I could do one a day, right? There's no reason to not do this stuff as long as each video has some kind of piece of value for the people watching. So the main idea behind this is to get you in the habit of creating videos. But the real kind of hidden benefit is if you follow this particular example I'm going to show you right now, you'll build the know, like, trust factor with your prospects, and it makes it easier to sell. Because I talked about earlier that strategy I use in the kind of the 5-day course method. If you're delivering a 5-day mini course and each email sends them their lesson and exercise of the day, and then you have a PS statement or a second link in your email saying, by the way, watch this additional video I made for you. A certain percentage of those people are going to watch that video and connect with you at a deeper level. So this kind of follows that methodology. Here's an overall process. You certainly don't have to follow this exactly, but it's simple. You find some kind of PLR content that you want to share. You extract a few short bullets or ideas from that into a slide deck. You make a video where you narrate the article over those slides. And then you record a short personal branding video from your smartphone. And then what you're going to do is blend all of this together into a very quick video. This whole process, you could really pull off in like 10, 15 minutes if you get in the habit of doing it. So let me show you a little bit more of an example of how this would work. So I recorded this. Let me do this. So I have this article here. I'll make it a bit bigger. So how does that look, Chad? Can you see the tab?
Yeah, I can read it.
So I just found one from one of our packages. I just like the theme. 5 reasons storytelling is vital in starting a movement. So I like the theme of storytelling. I know it works. And I just wanted to communicate. Here's 5 reasons why 5 reasons why storytelling is something you might want to try. Right? They inspire. They give you a plan. They stay in people's memories. They engage emotions, and then people want a happy ending. So your stories with happy endings can give people what they want, right? So what I did was I thought to myself, okay, how could I create a really cool quick tip video something to post up to my Instagram page if it was under a minute, or post on Facebook, or share it on my blog, on my YouTube channel, or all of those different things. Well, and I want to personally brand it. So all I would do is I would create a video like so, and I just, here, let me play it. I don't know if you're going to hear it, but I created it just before I started this webinar.
Hey, it's Justin Popovich here. Today I want to share a quick tip with you about the power of storytelling and how you can use storytelling to leave an impression on people and actually inspire change. Check it out. Okay,
so what was that? 11 seconds, one take, pretending like I was walking in the front door of my house, but I didn't. So then I go over here, and I don't even narrate the whole article. I just narrate the 5 points. So if I read, and I may, if I want to get this under a minute for Instagram, then I may go and purge some text here so it's shorter, but let's not worry about the length of it. And then I would narrate this into audio, and then I would blend it into, now this app here that I was showing you is ScreenFlow. You can use ScreenFlow if you're on a Mac, and you can use Camtasia if you're on a Mac or a PC. And both Chad and I strongly recommend one or the other. There are plenty of other apps that allow you to create videos where you're blending text and slides and you're recording a demo or whatever. Those are the two apps that we are always going to talk about in our demos and webinars because they are the best. And we're just going to encourage you to learn them. And if not, then try to follow the principles with the app that's of your choice. But we can't cater to all of the different apps. We've just chosen ScreenFlow, and in future webinars, Chad will demo some Camtasia as well, because that's going to cover about 90% of our audience. So just try your best to follow along if you're not using that. Now, a couple of ways I could do this. So I could pop this article open right now and just literally record it into Audacity. I could record it right in Camtasia or ScreenFlow and then just not record my screen. It would have it just pick up my microphone. Or what I've done already is I built this slide deck here. Super, super simple. I could probably use Google Docs and go to their slide templates and get something nicer looking. How storytelling helps start movements. I'm tripping over my words here. And then I just took the 5 points. Slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I added the first slide at the end as well. Okay. All I need to do is have this slide on the screen while I narrate this block of text. So on and so forth, right? This slide while I narrate this block. And at the end of it, we've got a video with me introducing it on camera and then me narrating it. Very powerful personal branding, next to no talent required here, right? You need to be able to read and shoot an 11-second video where you pretend to walk in the front door of your house. Okay. And that's it. So another way I would do it is, like, I've already exported these slides here. So I would grab these and put them right into Camtasia/ScreenFlow. So I can just drag and drop them here. And I would, in this case, I would take that first slide and I would put it at the end of my personal branding stuff there. And then what I could do is actually just leave this on the screen while I narrate it. So I could hit record. And, or actually, yeah, there's a number of ways I could do it, but I could literally just hit record here. Hi. And then you can just narrate it and it saves it. Let me just do it really quickly here. Powerful story will help people to relate your cause to their own life. Charts, graph, and data that shows disaster is just around the corner will only scare people. If you can tell a story with that data that also gives them something they can do in response to that data, you will inspire support and action. Okay, stop it, add it to my existing document, and then, oh, did I not record the audio from that? Oh yeah, I did. I detached the audio here. Don't worry about the techie stuff here, guys, but there we have the audio. And now I just lined it up. So that audio goes this long. So I would line that slide up here. I'll kind of bring this up so people can see on my screen share. Now, sometimes what I do actually is I go into slide deck mode here, and I would have ScreenFlow record. So I would literally press this, and then I would start a full video record in ScreenFlow, and I would narrate into my microphone so that ScreenFlow is recording both the slide and my voice at the same time. The challenge for that is you either need dual screen so that you can have the script on another part of your screen, or in my case, I use a laptop to run my entire business. So I'm holding right now my my iPhone in my hand. So I could easily just text that those 5 points to myself. I could pull it up on a shared, Dropbox, whatever. I could email it to myself, whatever, and then narrate it into my mic. So right now you're literally staring at what my screen flow would be recording. I could start narrating this article right now. I would read point number 1, finish that. I'd go, boom, read point number 2, read point number 3. And at the end, my video would be done. That process, if I were to narrate it, that length of article, literally 60 to 90 seconds, well, maybe 120 seconds, right? Combine that with my 11-second intro. I'm literally done this entire video in under 5 minutes, right? And now I have all this stuff collected in here. I just go file, export to MP4. I can upload that immediately to YouTube, to Facebook. I can take part of it and upload it to Instagram. I have video options here. But to me, this is an awesome example because it gives you that personal branding element without you needing to be great on camera yet, right? That's the whole concept of quick video. Everybody can shoot a selfie video. You may not feel comfortable, may not like looking at yourself on camera. If you want to give yourself a competitive advantage, and if you are personally branded, if you're selling yourself as the expert, then you need to start doing this because people need to realize who they're learning from. The more they see you on camera speaking, the better they are, the better they will be in terms of feeling connected to you, right? So you could try this, right? With 5 PLR articles. We send out articles every single week. You could try it with the next 5 that we send out and have 5 quick tip videos in no time at all. Does that make sense? Do you think I hit it all okay there?
Yeah, that's great. And it gives you the opportunity to be able to edit the actual content middle part to make it sound perfect and the way you want it with no ums and ahs if you're really worried about that, but only having that intro and outro to worry about being on camera for. And using your phone is nothing wrong with using your phone. Smartphones these days, if you have a newer iPhone or an Android phone, the cameras on those are HD quality and can still look really nice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen people that clearly have massive video marketing ad budgets because I see their ads all the time. And half of their ads he's holding his cell phone and talking into it. So it obviously works, right? Personal branding is not, you don't have to do stuff like over the top production quality value. That has its place, but not for this kind of stuff. These are quick videos. But what I like about the example, again, just to reinforce this point one last time, is creating video can take place in a number of different ways. Building your own course, which was sort of the main theme of today's webinar, will very likely require video creation. Doesn't have to. There are cases where it could be audio or just text-based, but you'll likely get a better deliverable and a better customer experience if you do have videos. So get into the habit of creating them. This example I gave you today would be a great way of building a series of videos to promote a video course, right? So don't let your lack of techie knowledge or your lack of confidence in the camera stop you from trying a method like this. So that's it. We can, I guess, pop open the chat to questions here. We have plenty of other content we want to cover on future webinars.
Yeah, so Greg was just asking about keeping the videos private or putting them public. If they're general posts like what we just showed, do we put them on our own website? Do we put them on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? I think the answer is if it's going to be public and you're trying to get traffic and credibility out of it, then you want to share it in as many places as you can. So I would probably start out with on your Facebook page, on your Facebook group, wherever you have an audience, taking that video file and posting it organically to Facebook as a Facebook video. Not posting it to YouTube and then putting the YouTube link into Facebook because Facebook ranks its own video platform higher than a YouTube link. So putting it right into Facebook directly, then uploading it to YouTube, having a YouTube channel, and then taking that YouTube embed and putting it into your WordPress blog as a post. Those are really the 3 biggest ones, right, Justin?
Yeah, exactly. But unless it's video that is premium, that you want to sell, then I would make every video public because video is a great marketing tool. I can't believe the number of new customers we actually get from our YouTube channel now. Just organic traffic from all the videos we've put out over the years.
Yeah, and if you have a very specific niche and your video is covering one specific question or topic, there's a good chance that it's going to show on the first page of Google when someone's typing in that question and video ranks higher than organic posts. And so you really want to try and get as many short videos in those specific questions and topics as you can. The more, the better.
Exactly. Let's say I was doing, if I had my own coaching or maybe a course, let's say it's like a 4-week course to the most confident you ever, right? Self-confidence training. Each week you teach some kind of principle and you give them a challenge or whatever. And maybe it's you at your desk and you're speaking into the camera for some of it. And then you're going over to slides for other parts of the course. Well, what I would do is I would go and find as many PLR articles as I possibly could find related to the theme of confidence, giving examples about self-confidence. And there's so many offshoots, right? There's things that go into self-image, self-esteem, body language, there's all these different kind of subtopics related to that theme. And I would just go on a mission like, okay, Sunday is going to be my quick video tip day. I'm going to find, I'll find 20 PLR articles. I'm going to condense them into, 20 short slide decks and publish 20 of these quick videos, all with the sole purpose of driving traffic to either the front end, the sales page, or the lead generation page of my video course. Super simple branding and marketing. It won't cost you a dime to put those all up on YouTube, and they'll sit there and gain, they'll gain traction over time. And if you have any form of mailing list, then you can mail the link out to your list and just drive more traffic to your YouTube channel as well.
So Teachable is a big one that everyone talks about. I used it for that Membership Ignition course. It is a nice platform for having somewhere to host videos. They take care of all the video hosting. They lock it down. They have a membership system. So they pretty much provide everything for you. Their pricing plans are pretty drastic. You either $30 a month and they take 5%, or you're paying $80 a month and you get no transaction fees. And by no, they mean nothing on top of what PayPal and Stripe already take, which is around 2.9%. So you can, count 3% out of that. They do have an affiliate system, but as Justin and I learned, it is pretty clunky. It doesn't pay very quickly, your affiliates. So I'm not sure if they fix it or not, but that was one of the downsides, was their affiliate system was lacking a little bit. But the actual system itself is very easy to use. Here's the back end of Membership Ignition. You put in your modules and you put in your lessons and you just hit edit. And it's just like writing a blog post in WordPress. You have a title, you have a body copy section, you pop in your video file, and it does the rest and makes it into a section. And then this is what your students see. They see all your modules on the left-hand side here, broken up into sections with little progress meters if they've completed it or not. They also have, depending on what you've uploaded, the file type will show different icons if it's audio or if it's video or if it's just text. And it automatically puts in the length of the video, which is nice, and organizes it nicely for you. It gives them a complete meter, tries to get them to finish the lessons. It has a video player, which is actually really neat because in the back end, you can see as your students progress through your course, you actually get to see where they have watched in the video and see how far they've progressed. Maybe they got stuck in a video and you can see that everyone sort of starts to drop off at a certain point, or they get confused or skipped over certain things. So you're able to take all that information back and process it yourself internally and try and figure out if you want, maybe a video was too long, you want to make it shorter, or take a video out that wasn't very popular. And you also have a commenting system, so you can let them comment and get feedback in the actual system itself. So it is a pretty robust system. It's easy to use, which is why a lot of people use it. So yeah, the only bad thing about Teachable, though, I found was the price is pretty pricey. You're paying for $80 US a month if you have people joining or not. So if you want to keep your course long-term up and live, and maybe you're only doing it seasonally or once or twice a year, you got to continue paying this just to keep all your videos live and hosted and the platform up. So just keep in mind, you're going to have the budget to keep paying that $80 a month for the longevity of your course. The other thing is that sales pages in Teachable are pretty crappy. If you want to build a sales page, it's not a simple system like WordPress. It's no drag and drop. easy to build out stuff. If you want it to look pretty, like this page that I built, this sales page was not built in Teachable. It was built separately, and I just put the HTML code into Teachable. So they have a pretty basic editor. Udemy was another one that was mentioned. I'll just load that one really quick. Udemy is interesting. I put a few courses on here. It isn't really well known for having high-priced courses. As you can see, a lot of courses say that they're $200, but they always have sales going on. So the perception of Udemy to me is lower priced courses. So I wouldn't really want to go in here and put a $200 or $300 course. But it does the same sort of thing. It drives traffic. One of the advantages of Udemy is that there's a lot of traffic going to Udemy. So if they're searching for your topic and there's not many people that have courses on your topic, then you're going to be coming up in their search engine, and they are going to take a cut of that, but you're going to get students that you wouldn't have got on your own traffic generation methods. Teachable, on the other hand, does not have a marketplace. So everyone that finds your course is finding it through yourself, and you have to do your own traffic generation. Switching up to WordPress. So if you do want to build something out yourself, there's a whole bunch of plugins that you can use for WordPress. LearnDash is a popular one. Lifter LMS is a popular one. These cost $200 to $300 to get these plugins. They are very robust. They essentially build out your own training platform, very similar to Teachable. You do need to have technical knowledge on how to do that, of course, and maintain it with your own web hosting. Master Study is one that I found recently that I'm probably going to be using for my upcoming redesign training hub. This is a theme on ThemeForest. The advantage of buying something on ThemeForest is that for $70, this theme, for example, has a built-in learning management or LMS system. And you only have to pay this once. So this $70 that you're paying to ThemeForest, you're getting lifetime updates. So all future updates. With these plugins here, you're having to pay a yearly fee to always get the latest version. If you buy any kind of LMS plugin, and there's many on Code Canyon or ThemeForest, which is a Novato marketplace, these include lifetime updates, which is one advantage of only paying this fee once. And that's I'll let you guys know how this is. I'm going to start using this and see how it is. This one's called Master Study, and it lets you build essentially your own Udemy Teachable style website with course module sections, a full training section with all your courses. It looks very much like Udemy. So if you want to build something similar to that, all you need is your hosting, and you pop on this theme, which costs you $70 one-time fee. A couple people were asking questions about cameras. So let me show you a couple I was just pulling up while we were talking. If you are looking for a camera, your phone's maybe not good enough, or you want to have a web camera on your computer, I've used this one before. This is by Logitech. This is a really popular camera because it shoots HD. There's also a 4K version, I believe, of it. It's very, very crisp, very high quality. It works with Windows or Mac, and it has a sort of ledge on the edge of it, so you can pop it onto the edge of your monitor screen or your laptop screen, and it sort of sits there, and you can record yourself easily. It has a privacy monitor on it, little lens cap there. Very inexpensive if you're looking for a 1080p HD quality video. It's around $70 right now. Another one is the Microsoft Life Cam. This one I've used before as well. It has a built-in microphone, does 1080p, very high quality. This one's 720p, but there is a 1080p version. This one's $40 for a 720p HD camera. You can't beat that price.
Heath was saying, are there preferred course creation sites which you find a better overall value? I think you kind of just covered those. And Gerd's saying LearnDash. There's so many of these.
Yeah, there's Kajabi. There's a whole bunch of other platforms that help you build out a course. Yeah, Teachable's the easiest, and it's also affordable for what it offers. Because remember, it is hosting all your videos, and that can be a big thing. If you're doing 1080p HD videos or even 4K videos, video hosting is a big deal, because you don't want to be hosting your videos on YouTube, as we talked about, because people can share those links. The only alternative really is Vimeo, which I use, Vimeo.com. They have a pro account, which I think is around $100 a year. you're able to do a lot more customization than you can on YouTube. So if I go in here, I can go to privacy. You're able to lock this video down to where it is allowed to be hosted. So, or where it's allowed to be embedded. So you can put your domain name in here, and it only people that are on your website are able to see this video now embedded on that site. If they share the link, it doesn't work. If they try to embed it somewhere else, it won't work. It's not downloadable easily. It's really locked down. You also get the option to change the player, so I can hide certain things from the player. I can make it so that they can't skip ahead. I can put my logo in the corner. You can do a whole bunch of really nice things for customization.
If it was me, whoever asked that question, and I was just picking how to get started right now, if I wanted to create a course like this weekend, I'm going to put my head down and get everything done and publish the course on Monday, I would do Chad's model here. I would do Vimeo so that the videos couldn't be embedded only on my website. And then I would go and get a cheap WordPress theme, make some kind of cheap plugin to lock down certain pages to members. Mm-hmm. There's even free plugins, I believe, right, Chad? Like S2 Member. There's free ways of doing it.
Yeah, S2 Member is a free one for membership sites. Really easy.
I would literally build like page 1 would be called module 1 through page 8 would be module 8. And I would just start like that. I would embed the 8 videos, 1 per page, lock those 8 down using my free plugin, embed the Vimeo videos, add any downloads like, checklists or PDFs to go with each video, and I'd be done. That's what I would, because I don't have to worry about Teachable or Thinkific or whatever. It would all be on my site. I could control it. I could publish it out to my Facebook friends, or if I have a mailing list right now, and start making money. Like, I don't have to wait for any approvals or weird settings on another platform.
And then maintaining that is just those simple fees, your web hosting, and it's not going to be $80 a month forever, right? So, so you can see on the screen here, these are the plans for Vimeo. The Plus account is all you need. It starts at $7 a month, which is nothing.
Not bad.
And that gives you 5 gigs a week of upload time. So you can upload 5 gigs, which is a lot. If you're starting out, it's more than enough. There's no advertising. You're not going to have pre-roll ads, which is another problem with YouTube. People start seeing ads popping in. You get 4K video. You get the domain level privacy, which is what the important thing is we talked about. This is what locks it down to your domain name for your membership site. So that's important. So any topics you guys want to see, let Justin or myself know too, because we're always taking suggestions to see what you guys want and delivering on what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And not just, it's not always going to be just how to use PLR, right? So there's a lot of other aspects to running a business that Chad has learned over the years of running his company. Same with me, that if you are looking for different insights or opinions or ideas on how we run our businesses, we may be able to give you some advice. For me in particular, tons of experience with setting up sales funnels and creating repeat customers, which I think is really how a sustainable business is built. So we might get into the whole concept of repeat customer model and different strategies.
Sales funnels. We can talk about, there's so many things with digital businesses, automation. We can talk 5 courses on that. There's a whole bunch of topics that are all elements that you'll learn as you go building out your business. But anything you guys specifically want to see, let us know, and we will. We'll get it on the.
We're already getting lots of people saying funnels, so that might be a big one. We might have to do a multi-part one on that. We'll at least do one, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for taking the time out of your day to listen to us, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
See you next Wednesday.